Every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in. Yeah, about to get political up in here. Sorry, guys. Really, I want to keep my opinions to myself, but sometimes you just gotta, talk about it. Real talk, real facts, and everything in between. And that's all I gotta say. Hey, you like that for an opener, right? Was that deep? Yeah. All right, not so deep. Anyway, disclaimer message before I even start the video. So I don't get hunted down. Um, I don't hate anyone. I just strongly dislike uh, governments that I feel are corrupt and embrace going backwards instead of forward. You know, yeah. Gonna explain all that in a little bit. Okay, so the title, um, Hagia Sophia. What the heck is an Hagia Sophia? It's actually Saint Sophia. It's a saint. Hagia Sophia is just that part of the country. It's what it's called. Anyway, it's a cathedral in the beginning, mosque after it was conquered, museum, and now word has it they want to make it a mosque again. Yep, vicious cycle. All right, so let me start from the beginning. Roman Empire, right? Uh, Switching religions. Boom. Constantine the Great. He wants to make Christianity cool again, so he moves capital to this little place in Asia Minor called Byzantium, and calls it after himself, Constantinopolis or whatever, and translate to Constantinople, which is actually Istanbul today. In case you guys didn't know, it's in Turkey. Um, and yeah, a few years down the line, another guy, another emperor named Justinian the Great. A lot of greats in the Byzantine history. Has this vision to make this great church slash cathedral. So every year, a emperor that I guess favors the church or whatever, or gets a big payoff from the patriarch, decides to invest in this church. Long story short, it's epic. It's big. A lot of Westerners from Italy, France, whatever, want to check it out. It's like a tourist attraction back then. Um, so yeah, that's that, and it's pretty epic. It's grandiroso. It's good. Um, then late 1400 come, and the Turks, the Ottomans, they they start coming and taking up land, kicking ass and taking names, and lo and behold, Constantinople falls. With the Turks, Ottomans. There were like these nomadic tribes from Central Asia. So think of you know, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, most of the stands. Uh, just kind of came down, embraced Islam, and then became a really impeccable fighting force. They were mercenaries in the beginning, um, really good horseback riders, and they all kind of like united, and that's when they, started taking land and, called parts of Asia Minor theirs until they, the jewel, what they wanted was Constantinople. Because in Constantinople, it splits between the western side, which is Europe, and the other side is Asia. So if you get that, you kind of like get the boast of it, the best of both worlds. You know, if you're a trading empire anyway, it's perfect. It's good business. Um, Obviously, when they conquered Constantinople, late 1400s, um, they changed the Grand Cathedral to a mosque, and these things happen all over Europe. I mean, there was like, what was it, 50 something mosques in Sicily at one point when the Moors at Sicily, and just as many, if not more, more remarkable ones actually in Spain, actually southern Spain, Aladuja, the mosque of the Great Mosque of Cordoba, I think is. If I'm probably pronouncing it all wrong, pardon me. But yeah, that was eventually changed over, obviously. But the only difference with those mosques than the church that was converted over in Constantinople, Istanbul, those very people, so many years later, tried to exterminate um, Greeks, Armenians, the Christian colonies hanging around. Obviously, good leaders come and go, and you get a few bad apples that leave a really dark stain on your history. And as a defender of history, I feel like I have to kind of, say my 2 cents about this. Like I said, Turkey was a very progressive country. I guess, as time went on, they embraced secularism. People were allowed in and out, parties, the party goers, all that stuff. It was a cool place. Um, I don't know what happened. This new president, leader, or whatever you call him, who's in charge now, flipped a switch, and now I feel like he's going backwards. There was a revolution not too long ago. So what that tells me is this country's unstable, and it's his fault. I say this because that tells me. I mean, if the entire military turns against you, that's saying a lot, right? All right. So why do I care? These are Turkish Greek problems. I care because, as a study of history, and a person who favors Byzantine culture. I have a Byzantine emperor or emperors tattooed on my arm. So yeah, definitely gotta say something about it. I like the idea, even though they're the Ottomans kind of left like a dark stain on Turkey. They wanted to not really change that, but like okay, we're gonna embrace this freedom spirit. Try to get people to like us again. Um, so yeah, they made the Hagia Sophia into a museum, and everybody could go and see it and check it out. It was cool. The only damaging, thing is, since it's going to be a mosque now, is yeah, I mean whether the country's leader said it's open to the public, which he stated. Still, it's a place of worship, and you kind of know how that goes. It's going to be, you know, regarded as that, as a place of worship, and probably off limits, as opposed to being open to the public as much as it should be, like a museum. And you just preserve, I think, the originality of it, despite it being, a change of hands. Like, why, do any more unless you're doing repairs? I don't know. In a way, you're preserving it, but at the same time, you're kind of damaging your credibility there. Like, if you want it to be a progressive nation, you would embrace it being a museum. There's people that all religions, go there, check it out, because it's a beautiful, beautiful site. Like, if you ever get a chance to go there in public, or to see it just online or in like a documentary, you'll know what I'm talking about. Just type in Hagia Sophia. It's very impressive. In fact, its structure now pretty much represents what most Eastern Orthodox churches look like today. In fact, I think it was not just one of the earliest cathedrals, uh, church, monastery, whatever you want to call it, but one that represented Eastern Orthodoxy. Was a separation, and the 1000s, West and the East, schisms and all that stuff. So basically, what all that means is, you have Catholics on one side, Orthodoxes on another, but their churches have a Eastern flair, and that's what's cool. Like, if you were to put like a mosque in a Eastern Orthodox church and just take away the crosses, they would look similar. So you see the styles on who borrowed what from each civilization, and that's cool. The reason why I say keep it a museum is because it shows that you care you like a progressive way of life, and it's just, the revenue and the income you can get from that, you know. I mean, like, I can't speak for everyone, but I know, probably, the Greeks are upset, maybe. So, at that, I know I would be, I guess. It's kind of like they're, rubbing salt in the wound to Greek culture a little bit. Even though technically it's in Turkey, it belongs to them still. It just, like I said, if they didn't have that dark period where they try to eliminate, extinguish people, different races, then I don't think it would be such a problem, but, it just leaves a bad taste. So, yeah, that's my opinion on that. Like I said, I, can't really get into too much detail about it, but, I just, as a person who likes history and likes to see things preserved the way they should be, like Indiana Jones, it belongs in a museum, you know. Yeah, people should know about things the way they were and not erase it or change it over to a more, happier or acceptable face. It seems like a growing trend today that if people don't like something what happened years ago from another group of people, then they kind of hit the reset button or, delete it. But you can't. History and the past will always be there. So why not embrace it and analyze it as if you were to, like studying a book or like a project or something. Because if you learn about it, odds are, you'll look at things in a different perspective, I think. What this also tells me is a lack of inspiration and creativity from the Turkish government. Instead of building something new and something that represents a positive step forward, like, I mean, what is it to create something new? A new mosque or something grand that represents, a shining light in dark times. Instead, you take something that, you conquered, yes, but, wasn't yours, and turning it, into something that represents you now, which, like I said, is the story of every war. And, the victor spoils, actually, The victors always, write the history part. But in this case, it's different. Like, there's a long history when it comes to these, conflicts in the Eastern Mediterranean, especially Turkey. Um, yeah, I mean, I think they're missing a great opportunity now to show the world that this is who we are. We're not going backwards, and it has nothing to do with, religious conflict or their state of mind. But, now you can't help but wonder, what is the agenda? I've seen all this before, and it doesn't end well. It reflects on maybe past dictators and, what they used to do before they were taken down. So, I don't know. What can I say? I'm just, a guy in a very large, historic world, just, talking online and trying to get my point across, that's all. But I feel like, these issues definitely should be, brought to attention. And, like I said, why try and, change something and just, cast a dark light on yourselves again instead of just, rebuilding something new and calling it your own. Say, look what I've created. I don't know. I guess I'm the only one that thinks like that. Anyway, Yeah, I'll leave an article that'll explain the whole thing in the, below part. Um, I'm sure most of you probably skim this over because you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. But if you're interested, like I said, you know read up on it yourselves. But yeah, I just feel like as a guy who loves history, loves to preserve as much as it is possible, but could do so little except make videos about it. So yes, I'm exercising my freedom of speech and my right to inform you guys on something. You know, maybe you learn something new. I don't know. All right, guys, that's really all I have to tell about the subject. Um, check it out for yourself. Maybe you have thoughts on it yourself. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section if you feel like it. Yeah, that's all I got to say. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys are all staying healthy and safe, and just keep doing what you're doing. One day we're all gonna look back at this and be like, "Remember 2020?" All right, guys. Take care of yourselves. Peace.